Alright everyone, here we are again with some more Umineko craziness. I'm actually adding craziness because what happens in this video is just, it's a lot of dysfunction, a lot of cunning, a lot of deviousness. It's just all in one guys. And right now it's getting even more, like I'm getting hooked by this game right now. Like I was already hooked from the get-go just because it had elements of big mystery that was already intriguing me to begin with, and now that we're learning more about the family inheritance and how Kraus is just he is such a devious character, and we're gonna learn more about that in this video and how like incredibly manipulative he can be. So with all that said guys, I want to thank you all for the love and support, and let's continue on. Alright everyone, welcome back again. Let's continue on.
お前たちは何を焦っているのかね？それとも、何に怯えているのかね？ローザ、私にだけは教えてくれんかね？他の兄弟たちには内緒でこっそりと。
別に、私は。
You know, for someone that a majority of the siblings don't necessarily trust at all, I never got the impression they were scared of him. He's very cunning, yes, but I never had any doubts in my mind that he was intimidating. And the fact that Rosa is showing any kind of semblance of fear is telling of how very manipulative and like this guy is. I had more words, but then I got tongue-tied and I was like, you know what, let's just go with that.
よせよ、兄貴。俺たちは兄貴がサインするかしないかしか聞いてない。妙な勘繰りも交渉もなしで。
ほう、私には交渉の余地もないと。立場が弱いのは私の方で、公平な関係ではないと、そう言いたいのかね？
Shivers began to crawl up Rudolph's back. Ever since he was a child, he had never been able to overcome the height of the wall that separated him from his older brother. And now again, he began to feel himself getting sucked in by it, and the long shadow it cast.
取引は公平な関係であるべきじゃないのかね？この取引は私にとっては、弟や妹たちと長いことを失ってきた信頼を取り戻し、兄弟愛を深め合うもの。それは私にとって、緊急に解決したかった心のしこりだ。
God, could he be any more condescending? I'm reading the dialogue right now, and his face does not match how he feels at all, if that's even truly how he feels.
それが今日解決できてとても嬉しいと思う。
But it just shows how well written this character is. I've always thought that if you, any type of medium, a story, a game, comic, a book, whatever, a television show, if you dislike or like a character so much with such passion because of the lines they say or however they present themselves, it just means that the creators did a great job at detailing and making the character come to life. This guy, Kraus here, I don't like him. I don't hate him yet, but I don't like him.
だがお前たちも、この取引を急ぎ締結することがとても嬉しいんじゃないのかね。
Kraus stared at each of the siblings. They avoided his gaze with animal-like instinct. Only Hideyoshi was slow avoiding it. So he was caught in Kraus's gaze.
秀吉兄さん、あなたの会社、非常に好調子だそうじゃないですか。トントン拍子で上場を果たし、業績も株価も右肩上がり。実にお羨ましいことです。
うちの人の話は関係ないでしょ？
Wait, did he do a little digging against his own family too? Uh-oh. That's what it seems like.
だが、株主たちに対する還元を怠ったのが悪かった。そして上場した時に足回りを固めきらなかったのもまずかった。気づいた時にはたちの悪い連中に自社株をだいぶ買い集められていたらしいじゃないですか。
なんでそんな話知っとるんや？
Uh-oh. and the family was on him about his failures. Oh, no wonder he's so smug right now. This guy.
秀吉さんと同じですよ。私に融資する人間などいないと裏を取れる程度に、私も秀吉さんの裏を取れるのです。そんな不思議があることはないじゃないですか。
Kraus grinned broadly. In contrast, Hideyoshi's face was turning obviously pale. Hideyoshi's company was a fast food chain operating company that he had started from nothing. Through Hideyoshi's management efforts, performance of the business repeatedly rose and magnified, and ultimately it succeeded in becoming a stock-listed company. The greatest advantage of being in the stockholding system is that by selling stock certificates, a large amount of financing can be gained. That amount is far greater than the actual profits from the business. This made it an extremely effective way to gather the massive funds needed to grow his company even further. However, in exchange for financing the company, the stockholders have certain rights. Namely, the right to observe and guide the company that they have financed in order to raise its profits above their investment. That right is guaranteed to all stockholders, and they sometimes even use it to reorganize ineffectual management. It is the right to prevent the money they have spent financing the company from going to waste by watching the management of the company. However, if they use this right forcibly, they can eject the former management and take over the company. Ooh. Because the general body of all stockholders has the power to dismiss the management and nominate new management. That right is exercised on a majority decision by the stockholders. And people who hold more stock get to cast more votes. In other words, if some person or group holds a majority of the stock, they can freely chase out the old management and make the president anyone they would like. If they want, it is even possible for them to make themselves president. Many companies, in order to prevent their stock from being bought up by malicious people and their position from being threatened, take some kind of defensive measures, such as having their own employees or people close to them buy a lot of stock certificates, in order to prevent a hostile group from securing the majority. However, since Hideyoshi's company had only recently become stock listed, they hadn't had the time to strengthen those defensive measures. No, maybe Hideyoshi himself was so engrossed in the management of his company that he hadn't realized the dangers of being stock listed. It's hard to say whether he should be viewed as a kind-hearted and skilled manager immersed in management, or a foolish manager who had his feet swept out from under him. But in any case, there were people out there who would not let him get away with that naivety unscathed. They rapidly bought up Hideyoshi's company stock and instantly gained a significant amount of power. They then sent anonymous documents to the stockholders and began to capture the majority. The documents read, "The current management continues to make pointless investments and is ignoring the needs of the stockholders. Let us force the current management to retire, cut the current wasted investments, and let this company be born again as the one that gives more back to the stockholders." It is very difficult to make the actual state of the company's management known. They maliciously twisted the figures Hideyoshi had produced from a tiny amount of sleep and a constant concern for his company, and made him lose the trust of his stockholders. Their efforts had almost collected a majority of the stock in the company. At that point, even Hideyoshi noticed and started to buy back the stock, but the stockholders, who realized that the company was undergoing an acquisition maneuver, demanded a ridiculous price for the shares that Hideyoshi was trying to buy back. They continually tortured Hideyoshi, who had no leeway in the negotiation of the price. One of the certainties of capitalism is that value will rise when both parties vie for the same thing. And one of the certainties of democracy is that the majority controls everything. So in the end, whoever manages to buy up the most stock wins. So whoever has the most money wins. If Hideyoshi could obtain a large sum of money at this critical time, he would be able to avoid losing all of that which he had built up. Therefore, more than anything else, he wanted a lot of money right now. He couldn't wait for the division of Kinzo's inheritance, which may not happen for some time. To break off a little bit, guys, I like how the game just now veered away from their typical font and went for like a much bigger font to showcase to you how important it was for Hideyoshi to get the money at this very moment. No wonder he was calmly trying to negotiate, even though in his eyes that Kraus could see the desperation and just went for it. You know, like, Kraus is that guy. I can't believe it. That's why I don't like him. But I cannot deny his cunningness.
ルドルフの方も最近は大変だそうじゃないかね。
Okay, so everyone here has a freaking hidden problem here. It's not just Kraus, it's everyone.
海外は怖いとよく言うが、本当にそうらしいな。アメリカの裁判は極めて感情的に決まる。彼らは外国人に寛大な判決など出しはしない。先方と和解した方が結局は安上がりになると、弁護士に忠告を受けたんじゃないのかね。
何の話？
まあ仕事上のトラブルさ。
Oh, you didn't tell her? You didn't tell Kirie? Oh, man.
大したことじゃない。金でケリのつく話さ。
Kirie quickly recognized what Rudolph's complicated expression meant. Her husband had gotten wrapped up in some kind of trouble without her knowledge and had been suffering alone.
その通りさ。世の中なんだって金でケリがつく。失った兄弟の絆だって買い戻せるようにな。アメリカは権利侵害などにはうるさい国だ。だが金さえあれば何でも和解できる。資本主義万歳だよ。もっとも、和解金は数百万ドルにも及びそうだとの噂もあるがね。
Rudolph had been building a large amount of wealth with a certain type of niche market. However, a niche is a niche. It's definitely not a sunny job. An American corporate giant was trying to accuse Rudolph's company of violating their rights. For various reasons, it was thought that winning the trial was extremely unlikely, and Rudolph was being pressed to surrender outright. But even so, there was a way to resolve it with money. If he could only pay that money, though it might be painful, he could still pick himself back up. But if he didn't pay, he'd lose everything. Therefore, more than anything else, he wanted a lot of money right now. Oh, I like that. I like the font changing, but it's also repeating. It's to showcase how important this is to them right now, how desperate they all are.
ローザは清く正しい妹だ。
Well, Rosa, you can tell she's been having money troubles because she's been, for lack of, no, not for a lack, but she's not good at subtlety. She really, well, you can tell she needed money.
危険なマネーゲームなどには手を出さない。だが、お人よしな性分が災いしたんじゃないかね。連帯保証人は気安く引き受けるものではないと思うがね。
それはクラウス兄さんとは関係ない。
Whoa, there it is, the emotion. Rosa uncharacteristically laid bare her emotions and yelled, because she had thought she had kept it a secret. As Kraus watched, he let slip a muffled laugh. There was nothing to fear. Every one of them, more than anything else, wanted a lot of money right now. In other words, the situation had been reversed, because only Kraus, who they were threatening, had no urgent need for a large sum of money. Compared to that, the three who were threatening him wanted money quickly, no matter what the cost. See, that's the thing. Since the very beginning, up until this point in the conversation, I was always trying to understand why they were trying to get more money. Like, they're rich. I mean, don't get me wrong, more money, no, it never hurts to have more money, but they really were vying for it from his brother, and from their brother, I mean. And I never understood that until now. Every single one of them is going through some problems in regards to their finances. So the longer Kraus postponed this deal, the greater the advantage to him. Kraus was very sly. He had known of their Achilles heel from the beginning. Even so, he had not been certain. Therefore, he had hidden that until the very end, and upon closely and completely examining their attitude, he had struck back.
私もできることなら、可愛い弟や妹たちの危機に金を工面してやりたいと思っているよ。だが、残念なことに持ち合わせがなくてね。
Why couldn't you have your wife stick around for this? She would have loved you for this, you know? She's always like, she was complaining how she felt like her husband wasn't doing much to defend himself, and he pulls this stunt, she would be throwing herself at you right now. Like, enjoy.
7億半もの大金が工面できるスポンサーに心当たりがあるなら、先にそちらを当たってもらいたいのだよ。
Krause's elated words were horribly blunt. The other siblings could do nothing more than listen, grinding their teeth. If they could think of a sponsor that convenient, they wouldn't have kept up the charade. They had entered this huge battle specifically because they had exhausted all other options.
もしお前たちがどうしてもこの兄を頼りたいというなら、私の口利きでスポンサーを探してやってもよいのだがね。おっと、私にはそんな者はいないと言っていたか。それではどうにもならんね。
Krause's low gloating laugh began to fill the parlor. The younger siblings who had until now been driving the oldest brother into a corner could do nothing more than grimace and grind their teeth.
エヴァ
冗談じゃないわ。兄さんに借りなんか作れるもんですか。冗談じゃない。冗談じゃない。クラウス兄さんを頼ったら、どう助けてくれるの？
言ったではないか。私にできるのは他のスポンサーを探すだけだよ。もちろん利息を融通してもらえるようには最大限交渉するがね。
ちくしょう、足元見やがって。
I don't know why you're getting mad at him. You guys are about to take advantage of him too. This whole family's so dysfunctional.
あなた、落ち着いて。
落ち着いてるぜ。俺は極めて冷静だぜ。クソったりが。
Kirie grabbed her husband's hand, but that action made him feel even more pitiful, so Rudolph shook it off. Krause's laugh as though seeing that made him extremely happy.
こんな時、本当に親父殿の隠し黄金が見つかればいいんだがね。そうすればすぐに25億ずつをこの場で切り分けてやれるのだが。
Would you though?
残念、至極。非常に極めて実にどうしようもなく残念だ。今宵は兄弟みんなで酒を酌み交わしながら、親父殿の隠し黄金を、ベアトリーチェの碑文の謎を、みんなで解き明かしてみようじゃないかね。
I'm gonna laugh so hard if Battler figures it out.
仲良し兄弟が4人揃えば、きっと解けない謎はないはずさ。
This guy can do some diabolical laughter, man. I love it.
Hmm. 面白いことをする。それでその突きつけた条件というのは何か。
はい。クラウス様は黄金の発見を問わずに、その分け前としてエヴァ様、ルドルフ様、ローザ様に計75億円を支払うこと。
So Kanon is able to contact and actually stay in touch with Kinzo over here because he probably trusts him.
ただしその1割を3月までに支払うこと。
クラウスの間抜けめ。弟たちに足をさらわれるとはな。実に愉快ではないか。しかし、爪が甘いようだな。
はい。クラウス様はそれを、エヴァ様以下、お三人が緊急に大金を用立てする必要があるためと、カンパされました。
ふん。その程度のことはカンパできるのか。中途半端に無能な男め。今はどうしている？
話は一度中断されました。今は、ベアトリーチェ様の碑文の話をされています。
私の黄金がどこに隠されているのか、その謎を解こうとか？
はい。
Kinzo set down his glasses and snorted.
奇跡の成就が先か。 愚か者どもが黄金を暴くのが先か。実に見ものではないか。愚か者どもが我が謎を解き明かしたなら、その時は私のすべての敗北だ。我が屍を骨の一かけらまでしゃぶり尽くすがいい。愚か者どもの貪欲さが偉大なる魔法に奇跡を宿らせるのだ。だがもし奇跡の成就が先だったなら、ベアトリーチェは再び蘇る。私が半生をかけて追い求めたあの美少が蘇るのだ。おー、ベアトリーチェ。奇跡を落とす聖なる夜がやってくるぞ。悪魔たちとのゲームが始まるぞ。私はきっと打ち勝つ。絶対に生き残る。他の奴らの命はくれてやる。富も名誉も財産も黄金も何もいらぬ。ただお前の微笑みがもう一度見たいだけなのだ。
My guy here needs to take it easy because he's not gonna live long enough if he keeps doing this. Kinzo choked apparently in great pain. Hanon got closer and tried to pat his master's back, but Kinzo signaled that he didn't need to.
なぜ私が黄金の隠し場所をわざわざ人目に触れるように晒したかわかるか？
いえ。
魔法の力はリスクで決まるからだ。ベアトリーチェの黄金を暴こうとする人間が多ければ多いほど、その危険が高まれば高まるほどに、それでもなお成就できたとき、魔法の力は偉大なる奇跡を起こせるのだ。魔法とはつまりゲームなのだよ。優れている者が勝者になるのではない。勝者には魔法が与えられ優れるのだ。わかるか？生命の奇跡が数億分の1という神々しい確率に勝利するからこそ与えられるようにな。お前には少し難しいか？
申し訳ございません。
よい。つまりはこういうことだ。ベアトリーチェの碑文の謎を解いた者には、私が築き上げてきたすべてを与えよう。富、名誉、黄金、そして後宮家の家督。私が築き上げてきたすべてだ。その謎に挑む資格があるのは何も私の息子たちだけとは限らぬ。たとえお前であっても、その謎を解けたなら全てを得る資格があるのだ。
はい。ですが、僕に。
無論だ。難解に作った。だが、お前も挑め。それが我が魔法の奇跡を呼ぶ糧となる。誰もが挑み、誰にも至れなかったら、その時はその時。だが、奇跡が集い、魔法の力が生まれたなら、その時こそ、ベアトリーチェが蘇るのだ。だからお前も挑め。誰もが挑め。そして我が魔法に力を捧げるのだ。わかるな。
はい。努力します。
For a long while, Kinzo repeated muttered to himself, agitated and grabbing onto his head. Kanon stayed where he was, alert and unmoving, until he was given the next order from his master. Kinzo finally realized this.
もうよい。下がれ。酒棚に菓子の袋があろう。ダチンに持っていくがよい。
結構です。僕は家具ですから。
家具は菓子など食わぬか。道理だな。ならばもう下がれ。
はい。失礼いたします。
Kanon bowed and left the study. As the door was closed, a heavy locking noise resounded. But that was not the sound of Kanon locking the door. It was the door locking automatically. No one could enter without Kinzo's permission, and once they left, they could not enter again. It was a mechanism that Kinzo, unable to trust his blood relatives, had created to lock himself up in his own study and isolate himself from the outside world. The only ones he could trust now were not the sons who shared his blood, but those servants who called themselves furniture. Really?
Nanjo Sensei, いかがなさいましたか？
ああ、源氏さん。いや、居場所がなくなりましてな。
With a bitter laugh, Nanjo turned to face the doors of the parlor. It seemed that because of that motion, Genji understood what Nanjo wanted to say. For the most part, Genji also understood the family situation. It must have made him want to frown, knowing that right now in the parlor, the master he served was being discussed so disrespectfully. But it would have been very difficult to gather that from his indifferent expression.
しかし、私にはわかりませんな。どうして金蔵さんはこんな挑発的なものを書かれたのでしょう。
Nanjo looked at the portrait of Beatrice. No, he actually directed his gaze beneath the portrait at the plate with the epitaph.
私には親方様のお考えはわかりかねます。深いお考えがあってのこととお察しします。
金蔵さんのチェスは昔から随分と遠大な読みで布石を打たれるものでした。いや、時には理解できない一手さえ。私ごとき凡庸では何を目論まれているのか皆目見当もつきませんな。
私はこれを親方様の何かの遺言状ではないかと考えています。それを理解できた者に財産や家督をお譲りになられようということなのでしょう。
つまり私のようなよそ者に解かれてしまう前に兄弟4人で協力し合って謎を解けということではないかということですな。
He doesn't care about his family enough to even hope for that. That's not his plan at all. But he does want them to solve it though. He's curious.
金蔵さんは息子さんたちのことを口悪く罵ってはいますが、なんとか兄弟が仲を取り戻してほしいと願われているのかもしれません。
If, as Nanjo said, this epitaph had been written to repair the relationship between the siblings, how heartwarming would that be? However, Nanjo and Genji both knew this was the one thing that could never be the case. Here were the two who held the longest relationship with Kinzo, more trusted than his blood relatives. And even they could not guess at Kinzo's true motive.
親方様は一族のものでなくとも謎に挑む資格があると常々おっしゃっています。南條先生はいかがですか？
いやいや、この老いぼれには少々難解が過ぎますな。実は以前この碑文を手帳に記しましてな。夜な夜な寝る前に挑んでみたのですが実に難しい。
You know, it's probably one of those things that it's not really all that difficult. You just shouldn't look at it too hard. Is why I believe it is, you know. It's probably that type of puzzle. You're not supposed to overthink it.
お迎えが来るまでの間、ゆっくり楽しむことができそうです。
But we'll find out eventually.
源氏さんこそいかがですかな？
私めは親方様にお仕えする家具に過ぎません。黄金も財産も。
やれやれ、本当に謙虚な方です。だからこそ金蔵さんもあなたには心を許されるのでしょ
う。ならば光栄なことです。
As Nanjo lightly laughed in response, he once again looked at the epitaph.
懐かしき故郷を貫く鮎の川。黄金郷を目指す者よ、これを下りて帰 鍵を探せ。
Oh, so he's finally reading a part of it. That which is written on the epitaph of the portrait of my beloved witch Beatrice is as follows. Uh-oh, we're getting the whole thing. Behold the sweet fish river running through my beloved home of old. You who seek the golden land, follow its path downstream in search of the key. As you travel down, you will see a village. In that village, look for the shore the two speak of. There, the key of the golden land sleeps. You who laid hand upon the key must journey as follows to the golden land. On the first twilight, sacrifice the 6 chosen by the key. On the second twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the 2 who are close. On the third twilight, those who remain shall praise my noble name. Oh my gosh, this is the game! This is the game itself! Okay, this is gonna be a problem once she comes back. On the fourth twilight, gouge the head and kill. On the fifth twilight, gouge the chest and kill. On the sixth twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the seventh, gouge the knee and kill. On the 8th, gouge the leg. On the 9th twilight, the witch revives and none shall be left alive. Ooh. On the 10th, the journey ends and you shall reach the home of the gold. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures. One shall be all of the golden land's gold. One resurrects all the dead people's souls. One even revives all the love they possessed. And one for the witch to eternally rest. Rest in peace, my beloved witch Beatrice. Face change again? Looked like it did. It looked like it did. No gunshots this time. 3 o'clock.
Alright
guys, I'm gonna end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. I think one of the most notable things we've learned thus far is the epitaph itself, because for these past couple of videos I've been wondering what it said, and they were pretty much being very vague about it on purpose until now. So it looks like people are gonna die in this game. It's about to pop up real soon, and it's gonna be crazy. So if anything else, guys, we're gonna continue on in the next one. Thank you all for watching.